video showing you how to solo flawless the Pit of Heresy dungeon during the season of the hunt beyond light. Those who just want to see this and skip to time on the screen, for rest of you I can show you what I was using, etc. So for this we're going to be on a Warlock to start, like for the first type of video we're doing on this. The emblem is obtainable just to show, because obviously the solo flawless prophecy one isn't available as of now because it says seasons of arrivals. But the Pit of Heresy one just says source Pit of Heresy. You can get it any time you want to get this emblem. So the setup is as follows. I'm using Warlock, of course, so we're between Radiance and Stasis. We start with Stasis. You don't have to run Stasis, it's just what I end up using at the start of it. The perks that I have on it is Whisper of Hadrons, Whisper of Refraction, Whisper of Bonds, Whisper of Shards. So it just means I get increased recharge rate from this, like grenade recharge rate. Super and class energy from these two when we destroy frozen targets, you can see here. And then Whisper of Hadrons is a damage buff, but you can run whatever you want. It's just what I was using at the start of it. Then we switch to Radiance, which is middle tree, of course, Solar Grenade and a Healing Rift. We paired that with the exotic Gauntlets and Necrotic Grip, which states that damaging combatants with melee attacks corrupts them with increasing damage over time. This is based about the melee, but if you pair it with the exotic hand cannon Thorn, you can use this perk from range with this weapon, which is why we're using it. It's not the best top pick for the dungeon. There's better choices. I just wanted to run this hand cannon with this setup. That's all. The other components I'm going to mention now are more important than what I've got on right here. So we've got the energy grenade launcher Truthteller on. Once you get this and you get it with blinding grenades, which is a world drop, keep it, no matter what your perks are. This is not a bad roll. I'm not here to discuss what the god roll is on it. Just once you get a blind grenade one, keep it. That's it. And if you get another blind grenade one with better perks, then obviously keep that one. This one's good because I can swap between spike and blinding. Then we've got Fallen Guillotine on, which is sword, of course. Relentless Strikes, Whirlwind Blade, Swordmaster's Guard, and Jagged Edge is the best roll you can get on it. Put a boss spec in it as well. That's my weapons covered. As for my armor perks, you want at least a couple of solar pieces, a 1 arc piece, and 1 void piece. So my helmet arc, so I have Lucent Blade on that. I make sure I put hands on so that I get the replenishing guard perk to proc. You need to have arc on to get this to work, the secondary perk of it. Necrotic Grip, I've got that solar. Doesn't matter what element your Necrotic Grip is, I guess. I've just got to take and charge in that, so we get charge of light from orbs. On the chest plate we've got double concussive dampener with the stacks on stacks. Then on our boots, a Grey Launcher Scavenger, Traction and a Supercharged mod. Then a charged up bomber, and that's pretty much it. So just to wrap it all in one, because that's just me detailing it all. This is just a Lucent Blade build, meaning that I can get a ×5 charge with light for DPS with my sword. So it's based around that. Also, every time I pick up an orb, I get double charge of light because stacks on stacks. So that's pretty much it. Pretty basic, and all my weapon perks are matching what weapons I've got on. We do end up switching to something else midway through the run, which I'll explain it, but that's majority of what I'm running. There are a couple of reasons why I wanted to redo this, as I've done it countless times over the course of period of when it's been out. Obviously we all know it hasn't been the most difficult dungeon to do, mainly because of a couple of exploits you can do in this dungeon in particular that make it easier than what it should be. But even if you don't use the exploits, it's still not as hard as Shattered Throne and Prophecy. Prophecy, you know, definitely the hardest by a bunch. We done that one recently, which is got me thinking, what's the Pit of Heresy like these days? Now this is mainly aimed at what's the best setup to do it. Okay? Having said that, I haven't got the absolute best because I'm using Thorn, and Thorn is very good with the Necrotic Grip, but I could have went better and maybe put with a hard on with Fallen Guillotine. That would have been better than this loadout, but it's still, you know, sort of fun to do other things Having said that, Trutheller's top tier, which you'll see in the run itself. Just be careful on your jumps. Sometimes you'll have more momentum than you realise, like I did, nearly wiped. Obviously, if I wiped there, I would just reset the whole run, reset my checkpoint, what have you. Go from there. So this video is just going to show you how to easily do each encounter on a Warlock. You may do other classes. If you want other classes, ask me for it, and then I'll be more motivated to maybe do them. You know, like say if there's a overwhelming thing where everyone wants Titan, yeah, go on then, I'll do it. You know, not to say it's really difficult on Titan, it's not. Just happen to be on a Warlock and I want to use this Thorn loadout. So obviously we cleared out the orange bar knight to open up the door to then get the yellow bar. The orange bar knight is the trigger for the door to open, so we don't need to clear any of the ads really. There's only certain instances where we do. Now we're on this particular icon here, which is, some people call it burger, some people call it line, whatever you want to call it. This one's dangerous because I'll tell you why. There's two ogres on each side of the bridge which can ambush you basically. So if you're going to do this one like that, you need to clear out the orange bar with the Sword of the Super relic. So 1 super, 2 swings, and then you're in. As soon as the door opens, this is actually safer than out there, even though there's 3 wizards. At that point you want to drop the sword behind cover somewhere and then get the remaining wizard. If you can blind them then sword them, that's best case scenario. The longer you take with that, the worse, because the sword's going to sit on the floor and lose ammo. It actually loses ammo, whereas if you pick the sword up you won't lose ammo if you're not using any. It'll just stay at 55 for example. So the better, the quicker you take them out the better, essentially. Now there's an ogre at the door, so I'm just wary of that. Obviously there's no resistance mods now like there used to be, so there's no high barrier, all that stuff. That's another thing that made this dungeon, well all dungeons, taking barrier, high barrier, it made them too easy in that respect, and it actually disrespected the content, because content's some of the best that we've ever seen in Destiny, and then to include these OP mods spoiled it. It spoiled it. Although I do understand people who you know, had them to assist them and stuff. I get that. But I do think them resistance mods were right to go. And I don't see anyone saying bring back high barrier, so I think most people agree with it. But anyways, we got a fresh sword, which we just cleared out another knight on the bridge to do that. Then we're going to wait out our super on this particular bridge, on this particular location. Just so when we drop down, we can insta-clear the knight. And that means whatever we get, so we've killed wizards, so we have the Shrieker and the Knight. Now if it's Shrieker, you want to be going in there straight away. Now we don't know what we're going to get. Generally there's an audio cue and you actually can tell before you clear the Knight actually. If it's Shrieker you know. So I guess I would have been able to work that out, but it was Shrieker. Now the reason why you want to rush in here is because the quicker you get in that door, you beat the spawn of the double ogre in front of you. And it just makes it a little bit more consistent. You're going to get it done anyways, because obviously, you know, you block them, but just them little extra things can speed it up. Now we'll take a lift above, because our last one's up here. I'll take another lift. And there's not much to this, intro section. It's just teaching you how to use the relic. If you're completely new to this and you've never done Pit of Heresy at all, then you're not going to be able to fly through the first time. You'll have to do some practice runs and stuff. Especially practice the boss, because that's the key thing. That's probably that'll be the hardest bit for a lot of people. But with the setup that I have on, it'll make it easier for most. We used a nade there for all the thrall, just to sort of freeze them so they don't. So it just clears them quicker basically, that's all it is. We have our super here, that. So we're clearing out all 3 things with 2 swords. We don't do 1 sword for each, it's just 2 swords for all 3. For the knight, trigger, and so on, and the wizard. So we'll go to the exit, which the exit is the same all the time, of course. Just sword down there. If you have plenty of sword ammo left, you can sword fly over there, and then by that time you're going to have a sword super. Which means you can then just melt the orange bar and then move on. Because, like I said, the same thing, the orange bar knight is the trigger for the door. Now super, 2 light swings, and we're done. I have noticed that ever since the game, when they reworked the engine, that there's a lot of differences with the spawns and stuff, but that door opens way sooner than what it used to. You used to have to wait at that door, sword blocking for ages until it opened, but now it opens instantly, which is alright. Better. Onto the Ogre Maze now. So, this run's going to utilise a thing called ball duplication, where we can dupe an orb, like copy an orb, and then get another orb. But for those new to it, you would have to sort of practice the ball duping, and the best thing would be is to get to the totem section and just practice trying to ball dupe over and over for like 20 minutes or something, just to get used to the rhythm of it. When you're used to the rhythm of it, do your run. Don't do it in reverse where you do everything, but when you get to the ball duping part, you keep dying because you can't ball dupe correctly. Get the ball duping down first, then you can dial in everything else with your run itself. That's if you want to ball dupe. You don't have to ball dupe. I'm just doing it to show people right now how to do it. I've done this run without ball duping. I've done it with white armor, I've done it with white gear, I've done it with no mods when there were mods. So I've done all this, the challenging stuff. I've done everything I've wanted to do with this dungeon basically. All this video is just an updated one for the for Beyond Light. That's it. We got our first orb. This is the only orb we're gonna need because we're gonna dupe. But the route that I take is as follows. I go around to the left hand side. I do left, middle, then right. That's the way I do it. There's different routes. Everyone has their own little route. But this is the route I take. Now how to ball dupe an orb is pretty simple. It's changed a couple of times since it's been out. They might have patched it or something, and then we found another ball dupe. The way you ball dupe is, obviously you hold square to dunk, or whatever platform you're on, you hold that button to dunk, and then just before the circle gets to complete, you press triangle, or swap your weapon on your platform. Swap your weapon as you're duping the ball. Just as it completes, you will then do two things. You will dupe the ball and drop the ball, meaning you get a ball back, like so. It just means that we can speed everything up with the Ogre Maze. Well, with the totem section that we're coming up to as well. So that's the route that I take. It's basically as follows. Just follow it on screen as I'm doing that. If you're not sure what route to take, that route gets me through every time. Well, obviously I use the under passage on the outside cliff area. I quite like doing that. Not everyone does that, but that's the way I like to go. Now we're going to do this section here. So we're going to pop on Well of Radiance. We're going to briefly take off Thorn. And we're going to put Witherhoard on. The only reason why is just to show you how even more consistent this... Well, it's pretty consistent with this setup. Once we're doing a rally, make sure we get our range. Be sure to do that. Try to spawn kill all the 6 acolytes in front, and then at this point you want to just clear out a good amount of ads. It helps out doing that. Of course we have to step on the plate every now and then. There'll be an audio cue for that, so you know when to step back on. We'll then go for a orb. So. And first you want to re-initiate the plate, then we do a healing first. That's important. Do your healing first, then come back, re-initiate the plate, and you want to try and do 2 dunks per phase if you like. But every time you're dunking you're getting a load of ads as well, so better bear that in mind. Now re-initiate the plate again, do a Well of Radiance. We're doing a nade there just to clear some ads out. That's our third orb. What can happen as well if you can get staggered and get sort of... That's our 4th, I believe. And we'll go back to middle. We get our 5th dunk, but we didn't with a horde in time. We took too long. So, as you can see there with that, obviously I would have got that if I'd wither-horded more to the floor, right? Just make sure that you do that. So I would say that for every dunk, just do a wither-horde on the floor, pick up your orb. Do it like that. I'm 5 dunks in, so I was literally 1 dunk off. So I was just 3 or 4 seconds too slow with that. But that was fine, because what we can do is patch up the run. It's scuffed, and there's no doubt about it, it's scuffed. But we'll patch up the run. Get our last dunk done. But that's not the game, that's me messing up. If, like I said, that's probably your best strat, is just using the wither, because the wither will kill the adds to then spawn in another wither horde shot. So that's the best way to do that bit. It just means that this bit's just done. I've done, like I said, I've done this thing as well. I've actually done totems legit lots of times in the past. This just to show people how to easy do that bit. Now we switch back to our original loadout. Be careful with this drop here. You don't want to be wiping here, and it is easy to. As you can be overconfident and try and get it in one jump, and you don't. Guess we're good with that. With this section, I don't memorize the symbols. I don't bother with that, but if you know the exact symbol, look at your symbols and go there. Fine, but for me, I don't do that. All I do is go right side every time. It's the process of elimination for me. I go right side. If there's adds, so there's Thrall here, that means that there's going to be a wizard on this side. If there was no Thrall, then no, there isn't. There might be a Shrieker though. So there's, you know, I kind of know the area, like inside out. I don't like look at the symbols, stuff like that. I don't really need to do that. Got a wizard at the end here. Wait for the wizard to sort of... I know the wizard sort of comes close. We've got a blind, but he Acolyte teleported on us, so we'll deal with that first. That's the idea with this. If you just get a blind with Truthteller, and he just blinds all the snipers and everything, as you saw. Once we're dealt with that, we'll go to middle. I just do this every time. Like even if there wasn't one right, that's information gained, because that means there's wizards middle and left. So I don't see the issue of doing it like this. So if the sniper's up on a designated area like that, that's the game telling you that there's a wizard in that particular area. So same thing here, we'll get a blind. Get another blind. There's some snipers far off in the distance. They'll despawn when we kill the wizard. All he adds despawn across. Pretty simple with this, pretty straightforward. It's just making sure that you don't die. All I would say is this: the biggest tip for this area: turn your brightness up. I can't tell you, there's times I have actually slipped off thinking that, you know, the ledge is maybe bigger or wider than what it was due to brightness. So the best tip I can say is turn your brightness up, especially with certain ledges, because that'll catch you out. That'll be more likely to catch you out than the wizards and stuff. So we've went all the way to the other side of the map, which we were just trying that. That's fine though, as I have a alternate route. So whenever I go this way, I have a good way of getting back to middle, because I know now that the last wizard is in middle, like 100%. It's one of the middle wizards. So we'll take this route here, the one with the 3 rollers. And then there's adds there, so that's signifying that this is the last wizard to take. If you're on the far wizard and you have charge of light, if you have maybe ×5, maybe more than me, then try not to sort the wizard, because it's just handy going to the farm boss knowing you've got your charge of light sorted. You can just wreck all the adds and you don't have to bother about getting orbs and everything. And that's basically your DPS sorted, which I'll get into when we get there. We'll get a blind first, as always. We use our well here, we've got a well to waste. The thing with this blinding nade launcher is that you take less impact damage when you use it up close like that. So if that was mountaintop, I may kill myself. If that was spike grenades with Truthteller on it, I might kill myself. But all that's happening is I'm blinding myself in my own well. That's fine. Do it. Use it up close like that. Now we'll head for the exit. This way. Pretty simple, to be honest. This jump can catch you out, so just be careful of it. Take it slow. And we're good with that. So same as for the rest of the dungeon, we're using the same setup. So I'll repeat, like I said at the start of the video, we're using Charge of Light build. We've got a take and charge, which means we get Charge of Light from picking up orbs of light, which we get from masterworked weapons. Thorn cannot do that, so it has no catalyst, so just bear that in mind. So I had to use my Truthteller to do that, because if I use my sword I lose Charge of Light, because that's when Charge of Light starts because of Lucent Blade. So we're basically getting orbs of light with our Truthteller. That's where we're getting it from. We've also got a charged up and a supercharged, so the base Charge of Light is ×2 with nothing. A charged up will give you an extra stack, that's ×3. A supercharged will be a 2 additional. That means you can get 5. So this is the most amount of charged with light stacks you can get is 5 with this setup. Also the stacks on stacks means when I get an orb, I get 2 for 1 with that. So I'm already getting I don't need to pick up 5 orbs because it's stacks on stacks. As we start, we're gonna work on blinding a lot of the odds. The knight teleported on me, which is peculiar, but that's fine, we'll back up. Just keep using our Truthteller. We don't want to be using our sword at all. Never be using your sword on odds with this setup, because you want your Charge of Light for DPS. It's not essential because you're still going to 2-phase no matter what on this with a sword loadout. It is possible that you can 1-phase. I've 1-phased this boss in the past. It would have to be with a different setup though. You would need a sort of higher buff. You need a better setup than what I've got on. But rather than try to concentrate on just trying to 1-phase this boss, I would just go for the safe 2-phase, so then you get your soul flaws. Remember, this is for somebody who hasn't got the emblem. It's not for somebody who has the emblem. For somebody who hasn't got it. And for somebody who hasn't got it, I would recommend just the safe 2-phase at that point. With the knights, we're just cleaning out all the acolytes first, and we're waiting out a super as well. A couple of different ways you can do this. You can either use 2 swords for the knight, shrieker and wizard, or you can use 1 sword for it all. If you're going to use 1 sword, you just have to be a bit more conservative with your ammo. I was just playing as normal, so I just wanted to see how far this sword would go anyways, but it's whatever it needs, it's whatever's easy to you. We've got Truthteller on, so it's easy for us to get another sword anyways. I think I end up using 1 sword for it all, or maybe 2, I can't remember. Same with, like with the other section, we'll take out all the acolytes first. Anytime you get a super, use that. Make sure you're full health while approaching the wizard though. One more acolyte to take down, we'll take that. Looking at the wizard's health, I think yeah. So, because the wizard's pretty weak anyways, it's worth the time to wait, because which means I have to go and clear another. I mean, I'll be clearing the knights out anyways, I guess, but there's different ways of doing things. We'll take the farm wizard, that's the last one done, that's all relics that we can take. Now what's interesting here is I didn't take out any of the adds in middle. Reason being is because of this. All the acolytes group up at the stairs, which is ideal for multi-kill, and we can easily get multi-kills with Truthteller and get our ×5 charge of light. Let's clear out any remaining adds. Then we need to get 2 dunks. We'll get the 2 dunks first. We won't ball dupe at the boss. I don't recommend it because the boss used to freak out when you used to do that. I haven't tried it, ball duping at the boss now to see how the boss reacts, but he would freak out, do certain attacks that he usually wouldn't do, even when it was in DPS phase, stuff like that. So I would just go against it. I wouldn't do that. Get our second orb. Obviously, every time we're dunking an orb, thralls are spawning in. We'll take out both waves of thrall in one. We'll get the 2 dunks and then we can just blind them all anyways. Use Thorn for that. We did Necrotic Grip combo, like you see. And once all thrall are down, just double check, scan the area, make sure, because some of the thrall can hide in certain locations. But if you think you're good, like, just look at your radar. If there's only 2 dots, then that means you're good at that point. There's 1 thrall there, I didn't see. Obviously, like I say, don't use your sword on the mini ads because you're going to lose your stacks with light. Pick up our last relic. Now we've picked up the relic on the side that we need, on the side that we don't need to dunk, because then the knight, the boss, will stand out of the way of the final dunk, which just helps out, because what might happen to you is if you do a dunk where the boss is standing too close, he'll stomp you. You don't want him to stomp you. You want him to just do his solar attack, jump out of that because it wrecks. Just run up to the boss, well Radiance. The reason why you just do that straight away is because the boss is stuck in a pattern. He won't stomp you in that phase of time, so meaning that you get a free well on him. And at that point, just keep sword swinging at him. Only do your heavy attack when it's safe to do so. Like if you do a heavy attack at the wrong time, he'll knock you far back. Generally, you'll survive most of the thrall spawning. If all the thrall explode on you, that might wipe you though. Just bear in mind of that. So we're using literally all our sword ammo. So we've run out. So as you can see, the 1 phase just wouldn't be possible on the loadout that I have. Okay? But that's fine. As I said, we're going for the 2 phase. Now we're going to come up to this location and just try and get some orbs. I mean, he's pretty much done at that point. 80% of his HP is done, so we don't need to farm charge of light. Our next well will finish that off. Get out some of these acolytes. So we're just prepping the wizard, so when we get to it, we can just quickly do the wizard with the relic and not have to worry about any acolyte. Now it's time to get a knight, which we're not on the best location here because the wizard can get you in the back. You want to probably get away from there. Blind all the knights. What I've found that never used to happen is all 3 knights push you. That never used to be a thing. 1 knight would push you and then 2 would stay back, but now all 3 push you. So just be wary of them. I'll do with the Shrieker first. Pretty simple, we're just blocking. I always like to go for the Shrieker first because by the time you've blocked and you come over this area, you have a super for the knight. Use that there. Just come out of all that. You can get wrecked pretty quick. Surprising now about the high barriers. Pick out the remaining acolytes, and then we're good. And then we just got the knight to consider. Block them. We've basically got. Oh, we do have the wizard to deal with as well, actually. we get another sword relic. Again, like, it's easy enough to do that. The problem with this dungeon, in my opinion, is the relic is too powerful for its own good. The way I think it should work, obviously they're not going to mess around with this dungeon now because it's all content, legacy content, but what it should have been is that the sword, the relic, is immune. I know it probably wouldn't be a fun thing. The sword would be immune for all adds, so you can't damage adds with it. You can only damage the yellow bars. You can damage the yellow bars with it, not the adds, because that's another thing that makes it too easy. And the guard ability is too strong as well. But they need the guard ability for the Spreaker, so I don't know what they would do with that, because you're basically immune to all adds when you use the guard ability on the guard. So that's what makes it too easy. Whereas you got prophecy, there's a relic, it does one job. The relic doesn't do anything. It does sort of blind them though, the moat on prophecy. If anyone's noticed, it actually sort of staggers him a little bit, does something, but it doesn't do anything like what this sword does. So we're just scanning the area just to make sure all the fall down, which they are. So we'll get our final dunk and we'll finish it up, wrap it up. Then again, we always get the orb to the opposite side of where we need to dunk. It's just always smoother that way. Never have to deal with stomps or nothing. What we'll do is AI, as you can see, stuck in that pattern, meaning we can safely well him, and then we'll just finish him off. He's low enough just to finish before even the falls spawning. So that was basically showing you how to Soul Flawless, Pit of Heresy, this DLC. There's other classes that I could have used, but this is generally the best setup you're going to have, apart from the Thorn, I guess. That was the run, hope you enjoyed, thank you.